Hi there. Here is my father up above us, keeping an eye on me. I need to have an eye on me. So I just want to start this session, which is going to be about 15-20 minutes, for a classical game of chess that I played today. And I'm just going to start the session with a teaser. So it's your move here. What's the move you're going to play for white here? It's basically kind of 3 moves away from checkmate from here, or 5, however you wish to count it, as you might appreciate from my Grandmaster Raven Sturt interview. It might even be longer than 3 moves in some variations, but the move is coming up right now, okay? The move I played for white is, of course, Rook F5. My opponent played Queen G8. It always happens, doesn't it? Now, it's your move. What move would you play now? It's 2 moves till checkmate forced. I hope you can find it. And here it goes here. It is, of course, Queen G7 check, forcing Queen G7, and now comes Rook F8 checkmate. Okay, so I hope you like that. So here we go with my classic game of chess, the only game of chess I played in the classical chess arena today on leechess.com or leechess.org. It is 20 minutes each with 10-second increments per move. My opponent is from Germany, and my opponent is rated at 2053. This is the classical game of chess that I played, the only one I played 4 hours ago on Saturday the 2nd December 2023. So, without further ado, here are the first few moves. D4, and wait for it, here it comes. This move, you don't often see this move from me. It is, of course, E6. No, it's not. It's Knight F6. I quite like the King's Indian, and after speaking with Grandmaster Raven Sturt, I realised that my E6, F5, D5 is very weak. But anyway, I want to play a sensible game of chess, so I choose to play what is called the King's Indian defence. So my opponent is turning it into something that is not the King's Indian defence because they're not playing move to C4. I play G6 here, prepared to meet Knight C3 at any time, especially after E4 with D6. Here comes Bishop F4. So we're going into a sort of a London system. I'm not sure which one. I'm not up with the play in that regard. Here is Bishop G7 to stay consistent. D3, so it's a sort of a, it's a London system, as it also looks a little bit similar to the poly system of old. But this way, the dark squared bishop for white is out of the pawn formation that would occur if the pawns were placed to E3, D4, C3. So D6 to present arms. E3, castling. So after the game, I actually wrote to my opponent and said, thank you for being a very good sport, because my opponent resigned like 15 seconds before the tournament flag fell, even though my opponent could have dragged it out a few more seconds and then resigned. They resigned in the tournament proper, so that was quite good. So my German opponent got me saying that to them, and they just said, my pleasure, even though they'd just been beaten, which is pretty good to be able to do, isn't it? Knight bd2 and knight bd7. We're copying each other. Bishop e2 and rook e8. h4. Okay, so this is a classical game of chess, and my opponent's just played h4. White wants to wipe me off the table, and here comes e5. And they say with a flank move, it is often best, as Alexander Alekhine did, that's how I say his name, it's often best to strike in the centre, and Nimzovich says it as well, strike in the centre when you get attacked on the flank. If you can, of course. Here comes e5. Bishop g5, and I'll possibly get a wee bit distracted here. Probably, upon looking at it, e4 now is better for black, and probably the computer would give same, as that would make the knight go to either h2 or to g1, or to play bishop f6 and knight g5 sort of thing. But after bishop g5, not e4 for my hand, but now h6, which sort of gains me the dark square bishop. I don't have to play this way. I can actually play knight f6. And I wish to lock the h5 pawn up by following g5. I do not want to enter into options for white to play hg6, like hg6 here. And I do not want to capture either here. So I don't want to offer up the opening of this rook file, the h file for white, as then it would be a half-open file for white with little advantage for me on the h file, because white would have the superiority on that file, if that's the okay word to use there. g5, and now came knight e4, so I wish to preserve my bishop f6, even though it isn't looking very good with all these pawns there. But anyone who knows me will know that I want to move these pawns shortly. In fact, I actually wanted to move them a lot quicker than I do. I played bishop g7, and now came g3. So now my opponent, it's just as if my opponent has just heard me and said, well, you know what, we're not going to actually let you play f5, because then we'll just take it. And also, white threatened moves maybe of a similar idea. Knight to f5, maybe that's what white wants to play here. So I put e4, d2, and now I have to defend my e4 pawn with knight f6. So I'm a wee bit happy with my position already, because my pieces, I'm going to be able to develop my bishop c8 and that sort of thing. And I might be looking at playing d5 and c6, which is sort of going into my normal territory, but I try not to. Queen b3, but white forces me to play d5. I want to play d5 to support my e4 pawn, to also allow maybe bishop back here to this square. It would be a bit nice on this diagonal than this one. The bishop of mine, the dark square bishop, is saying, I'm not very good here. I can only, look at this sort of stuff and that. So white plays now c4. So we enter into almost my normal sort of gameplay in queen pawn openings or in king pawn openings, but more queen pawn openings. Now it's actually got a little bit closer to a King's Indian because white has now played c4. So white played c3 early on in the opening and now has played c4, which isn't actually, in my opinion, bad. But after c6, cd5 and cd5, just keeping my position intact, more or less. And here comes rook c1. So here I have opportunity to sort of sacrifice a pawn, and then thereupon, if my opponent takes my b7 pawn, that I can then play rook b8 and rook takes b2. I quite like my rook on b2 on the 7th rank, where it's pestering the knight on d2, forcing the king or something else at that stage to defend the knight on d2, or that white would have to move it somewhere, which is not going to be the best idea. And meanwhile, on the other front, I might be going to play rook e7 with my king's rook and threaten the queen on c6. On b7, I was looking at c6. I was thinking maybe the queen will go to b6, c6. And so, but my opponent did not play queen b7 here. My opponent played queen b4, so this helped me. And what would you play now? Just like, I think it might be classified as a positional move. What would you play now for black? Given in mind what I said just before about the A pawn, which is a bit of a clue. And I played here the following move, e5. And now if queen b7, then it's even better than it was before, because then my A pawn is not going to be able to be captured by white. Queen a4, and now I am looking at what I said earlier about my dark square bishop. So I play bishop f8. I'm also looking to move this maybe to here and start nibbling away at this knight on g3. So a3, so I'm not going to go to bishop b4, of course. Here I played rook c8, contesting the c file, and if rook c8 now, I think I was going to play queen c8, but I might have been going to play bishop c8. And so that I still protect my a5 pawn. Last thing happens, so I played the bishop d6, where I'm starting to, this is, as my junior might say, this pawn formation is not exactly the best for white. So if I can take this knight, then I can also gang up on it with queen d6 and things like that. And maybe g4, and then I can go knight h5 sort of thing. Those sorts of things, if the knight's taken a course and the king is defending on h2 or something like that. So bishop d6, and my opponent now played knight b3. So the move I play sort of suggests itself, one, that it stops knight c5, and two, that it stops knight a5 capture, or queen a5. So I played b6. So I solidify that area of the game, and here my opponent plays bishop b5. So what's going to be your move after bishop b5? What do you think you'd play? There's bishop b5. So what's the sort of moves you're thinking of here for black? Realizing that the knight isn't going to go anywhere on b3 to c5 and a5. So I hope you found my move, because that helps me, that I played the right move according to you. I played rook e7, so that if rook c8, c8 and rook c1, fair enough, then I can contest it with rook c7. And here came rook c6. I'm not sure, this might have been a finger drop or mouse drop, but I don't see the point in rook c6 other than threatening rook d6. So I went rook c6, bishop c6, and now I capture bishop g3. I may be able to play just queen c7, bishop g3, fg3, and knight h5. So I picked up a pawn. See a pawn, pick it up, put it in your coffee cup, as William Hartston, International Master, says. See a pawn, pick it up, put it in your coffee cup. Knight h5, and here came queen b5. So this is a fair enough move, because white is threatening 1, b6, and 2 times, twice, d5. So I played a move that I kept it kind of simple. Queen b6. I mean queen d8. And I hope for queen b6, but I'm defending, of course, queen b6 and my pawn on d5 simultaneously. And at the same time, I'm now threatening knight g3. So my opponent now did play king h2. And I gang up on this pawn because I'm going to win it. So I played queen d6, queen b6, and queen g3, check. King h1, shall I play the queen e1 check, or shall I play the queen e3, or something like that? I played queen e1, king h2, forced, queen e3. So I'm still looking at trying to play my f5 move, to be honest. And here comes bishop d5. Wow, that's a good move. That bothered me. That kind of was not very nice of my opponent to play. Yeah, that bothered me, really, because obviously if I play bishop d5 now, which I do, then white merely plays queen d8 check and queen takes d5. And the pieces, we've only got a queen and knight left, and white nicely defends their knight b3 at the same time upon capture of the bishop on d5 after check. So, but I thought, well, I'm going to take this bishop and queen d8, and now we've got king g7, just keeping my king nice and safe and secure, even though it's not quite safe from checks. But there are some thoughts I've got in my head. I played after queen d5. What move would you play? Hopefully you found my move, and it was, of course, a4. Queen e5 check. No bother. Now what would you play? Here I played the following king move, because I have a choice. I played king g6. Now whether white should now play moves like queen d6, I'm not completely sure, but I'm trying to concentrate on my e4 pawn, and I was still, like I said before, wanting the whole game to play f5 somewhere, but white's always been preventing me from doing so. Here I could go queen f4 check, and I'm seeing the board backwards. Queen f4 check, and pawn captures, and that's the thing, but white will end up taking on e4. Now I play the snivelly knight f6 with the idea of knight fork, and with the idea of defending my e4 pawn, and with the idea of protecting my king from checks like queen d6 and that. I have to be always careful if I've got my queen on here. Why? Why do I have to be careful of those sorts of things in these sorts of games? Because I have to be careful. If I've got my queen on this square here, then queen f6 wins a piece. And then knight e4 check, the royal fork, and knight takes queen to come out on top. So I have to be very, very careful. That is probably why. And I hope you like the photo of Dad. That photo is taken of Dad in 1943 in Amsterdam, I think. But apparently he was part of the soldiers. Even though he was a bit young, he was part of the soldiers looking after certain people in war-torn Holland and that sort of thing. So it's pretty amazing. I didn't actually know that. And it happens to be my favourite photo of all time of my father. Even though I've got other great photos of Dad, that's my favourite. So I have to be very careful. So now white played queen g3. And this is actually one of the only moves on the board. If queen d6, I might be prepared to play queen f4 and pawn takes. And these are very, very strong pawns, these two here. If they were abreast like that, they threaten to move quite quickly to the goal line, which is e1. So here's queen g3. I could play queen f4, but I don't. I see another pawn, so maybe queen d6 is better. Queen d4, and now I'm defending nicely my a4 pawn. I'm defending this twice. My king again is protected from nasty queen check and perpetual checks, and so I'm trying to keep the position semi-closed in my favour, of course, like usual. I also threatened something here. After queen d4, there is actually a move here. It's not that great yet until this move here. Queen c3 he plays, but if knight away somewhere, there's not many places to move the knight, so there's only two places really to move the knight. The others don't really count. But I actually threaten, if the knight, say for instance the knight moves here to b7, I actually threaten something. What is that? It's not really a threat, it's just a clarification and a liquidation of this formation position, chess position. It is none other than queen e5. And there, white probably has to go queen e5, knight g4 check, and knight takes queen on e5. So that's the advantage. Black. Why? Because black gets the chance and opportunity to play f5 at last. Queen c3, and here I could just play queen d1, but I do that with tempo. I play queen d6, so that if pawn g3, then probably knight g4 check. And maybe this knight can go from after king h3, knight f2 check, and maybe knight here. And I feel quite comfortable if for black. This queen of mine is actually centralized. It's a little bit better, funnily enough, than that queen there. I might be talking rubbish there, but it's better to have your queen central. She likes to be central. She likes to be able to have an influence in the center, especially in this part of the game. So here, probably if queen g3 for white, then I might play the cheeky, yes, I think I would play the knight g4 check. The king h3 is now forced, and then queen g3. Or, no, sorry, if queen g3, then there's a simple move for me to play, and I'm sorry I missed it. So if queen g3, of course, then queen c5 is the win of the piece. Then I threaten queen e5, and if queen takes queen e5, then knight g4 check, and knight takes e5. So it's quite good. But that soon comes about, so king g1 soon comes about, queen d1 check, king h2, and knight e4. So I'm trying to set up a checkmate mating net. And guess what? King g3, f5. I've got it, and yay, at last, it's happened. What's happened? Well, I've got f5 in. I'm defending the knight on g4 quite happily enough with my... I'm defending my knight on g4 quite happily enough with the f5 pawn, as well as my e4 pawn is defended with the f5 pawn, and the f5 pawn defends my knight g4 as well as the queen on d1 does. So if knight e4 capture here for white, then I just merely take f e4, and I'm quite happy with this position, I think. Because if queen c6, which is the only check, then I have knight f6 defending e4 after I win the piece of whites. Here's knight e6. This is sadly a blunder, and this is just before time control of the chess tournament being over. And upon the next move, it's going to be checkmate in the best scenario, 3 moves time. To stop, for the best, staying out of checkmate is possible for, oh no, it's not. So white cannot play queen e5. Why not? Because, yes, queen e5 is good for what? Black. And then knight f4, queen f4 check, and then queen h2 checkmate. Or knight f2 checkmate. But of course, if queen e5 now, then just simply queen d3 is checkmate. So I hope you enjoyed this session today, and thank you for watching today. And I thought this would be a good game to bring you in a video longer fashion, so that you can have a look at a game slower than the normal shorts that I enjoy placing here on YouTube. And of course, white is now threatening queen g7 check and queen f7 checkmate in this position. But that's not the way chess works. And so here, just like 15 seconds before the tournament flag fell, my opponent resigned. So I went to my opponent on Messenger, or not Messenger, but just on chat, and I thanked him for the great game. My opponent is actually a patron of Lead Chess as well, so they're pretty good. So that's this game, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it, and thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate you doing that, okay? So thank you.